everybody, and welcome back to the Take 5 Challenge. I am Henry Prezalonzo. So excited to be here on the show. Again, for those of you who are first time checking it out, the Take 5 Challenge is this. It is an opportunity for me to model what it is to intentionally connect with another professional. So the Take 5 Challenge started in 2018 when I was with the California Parks and Recreation Society, and I challenged the membership to take 5 minutes a month and just connect with someone that's come before you, someone's coming after you, someone on the same level, really with the intention of us making each other better. So as iron sharpens iron, we sharpen each other. And that's what the show's all about, is really an opportunity for me to meet with professionals in our field and just chat with them and learn something and gain something from them, and really have an opportunity to learn and grow and get sharpened myself. I'm excited about the show today. I have a special guest coming from the state of Utah. So I'm excited to chat with and meet with Dr. Rhonda Nelson and talk a little bit about rec therapy and see what that's all about. But first, I want to thank CPRS and thank the Push to Play Network in sponsoring us and having us on the show and having us be a part of this. I'm so grateful and excited to be here. So when I come back, I'll be taking 5 with Dr. Rhonda. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, for those 3 of you that are watching, again, I'm Henry Prezalonzo. So excited to be here to take 5 with Dr. Rhonda Nelson, friend and someone I grew up with, which is actually another kind of fun thing. But welcome, Rhonda. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me and taking 5.
Thanks for the invitation. I'm super excited to be here.
That's awesome. So for those people who are checking us out and talking about who are you, what are you doing, what's your story? So in a nutshell.
So I am currently an associate professor and the recreation therapy program director at the University of Utah, which is located in Salt Lake City. That's my main job and position currently. I know that you are a strong advocate for professional involvement and leadership. So I will also mention that I just recently stepped into the role as president of the National Academy for Recreational Therapists, which
awesome.
is the honor society for the profession. It's made up of individuals who are distinguished fellows in recreational therapy. And that organization really is committed to advocating for advancement of the profession through research and scholarship, through mentorship, and just ways that we can, as leaders of the profession, move it forward.
That's really cool. Congratulations on that. So I think that's amazing. So is that mostly like academics, or are you talking about practitioners? I don't want to even make that distinction. I want to probably touch on that one in a second though too.
Yes, no, it's a great question. Both practitioners and educators can be inducted into NART. As distinguished fellows. The criteria is that people have at least 10 years of experience within the profession as a baseline. But then the main criteria is that people have demonstrated leadership and excellence either through professional service, through awards and recognition, or through research and scholarship activities, which can also include things like presenting at conferences, at the practitioner level. Scholarship becomes defined a little bit more broadly.
That's cool. It's interesting to me. Again, trying to figure it out, because one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you is because I'm fascinated by the rec therapy side. That's not something that I've had under my supervision or anything like that. Although I do now have, with the city I'm in right now, I do have a staff member who is a rec therapist and kind of helps to provide some of those opportunities for us and for the folks around here. But it really was something that I know personally I've been kind of lacking in, maybe it's in understanding and all of that, but I know you're everywhere. All of you are everywhere. So just thought, let's take an opportunity and hear from someone who actually teaches and shares and brings it to somebody. So, which then leads me to that question. So what is rec therapy?
I'm so happy you asked. And maybe I'll start with, let me start with a basic overview of what rec therapy is. The main focus of recreation therapy is that we use recreation and leisure interventions to promote health and well-being, primarily in people with health conditions and disabilities. I'll clarify just a little bit of terminology because this is
Yeah.
something else that's confusing for people. People hear the term recreation therapy and they also hear therapeutic recreation.
Yes.
So different people describe it differently, but I think the clearest way to understand it is that recreation therapy is the profession. Therapeutic recreation is the broader field of study of how to use recreation and activity-based interventions to promote health and well-being. Again, primarily for people with health conditions and disabilities. Although I will also just share that I personally come my doctoral training was out of a college of public health, and so I that definitely gets infused into my philosophy, and I also see recreation therapy not just as having potential for sort of the traditional rehabilitation, working with people who already have health conditions, but also in more of the health promotion and prevention realm of keeping people healthy and maximizing people's health and well-being through recreation.
That's right. I love that. And I love that even the public health awareness, because I think probably our profession, obviously, over the COVID thing kind of got heightened in even being a part of that and saying, hey, you guys do recreation. Oh, and by the way, did you know that you have this little touch on all these other things too, right? So I love that take and where it comes from. But it just makes me kind of think that, okay, so there are these things, and thank you for the distinction between the two, the study of and the practice of, right? So is really what we're talking about. So, okay, help me. I mean, and I say that in the sense of like, okay, I don't have, how can I, and I really, this is part of trying to get me better and trying to figure that out, even for the folks that might be paying attention, like, how do we go about, if we don't have it, if we do have it, how do we enhance it? I want us to be able to think differently, if that makes sense. Like I'm thinking, okay, rec programs, we're doing this for the community. And if I'm sitting here talking about I'm doing it for the whole community, am I? What is that piece that I'm missing, right? We always talk about demographics in age-wise, ages and stages and how we do that. But then there's ability-wise that I don't know that maybe it's just me, that a lot of people talk about all the time. But I think that's where you guys come into sharing that. So kind of help, how do we form that different mindset? Or like, what are the questions we need to be asking ourselves when we kind of dive into this thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think certainly to distinguish within rec therapy, people often talk about the different service settings that recreation therapists work in. And so there's a large pool of rec therapists who work in kind of more clinical settings. So those are your hospitals, your rehab facilities. And then there are individuals who work more community-based, which is what you're talking about in terms of like your organization. And I'm thrilled to hear that you have someone on staff that can bring that knowledge and expertise to the services that you provide to make sure that you are being inclusive of your community and making opportunities available for people of differing abilities and across the age spectrum. I think one of the things that has come out of the pandemic that I think is an interesting trend within rec therapy is that I think people are reimagining how services are delivered.
Yeah.
So one of the challenges when we work with people who have health conditions or disabilities is sometimes there's just so many barriers to access programs. They would love to come to your program and you may be accessible, but they don't even have the transportation to get there, or so that there's all of those things that factor into it. One of the exciting things that I think is emerging is that we're seeing more and more recreation therapists offering virtual services or services via technology, which obviously during the pandemic, people relied on that as a way to stay connected and engaged. But also people were challenged with how do we continue to deliver services? Right. And so we saw this huge expansion of telehealth services. And a lot of that has really evolved even since because people have made the recognition of, oh my gosh, this is wonderful for people who live in more rural areas, who have some of those transportation barriers, for people with health conditions that maybe, they're only available certain hours of the day, and they'd like to participate in a program, but that doesn't work with their schedule and all
Yeah.
of those kind of things. So I would just put that out there as one thing to think about,
Yeah.
is whether or not there's an opportunity to reach people through any type of virtual programming that you might be
Yeah, you know,
offering.
it's funny because I think we may have gotten away from it. It served its purpose perhaps for us, but that's a great thing to think about. It's like, wait a minute, it may not be done, and it may not be done for some people, and that could be. And you're talking about anything, right? It could still be the virtual exercise class or what have you, that they're just from their home and doing their thing, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The
I like
other
that.
thing that I have seen emerging from the pandemic, and this is something that I'm really keeping an eye on, that I think is going to really shape the way services are delivered going forward, is we are seeing an increase in mental health issues and
Hmm.
concerns in society. So I know when we talk about inclusive services for people with disabilities, oftentimes people immediately go to the physical disability,
Right.
or they're familiar with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and how to include them. But there's I think tremendous need for recreation services for people that are struggling currently with stress and anxiety, with depression, with loneliness, and also one of the things that people have shared and that there's evidence on is that during the pandemic, people kind of closed themselves
Yeah.
off and almost felt like they needed to relearn social skills.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard people say, like, it feels awkward for me. I'm not, haven't been around people. And we're getting far enough out at this point that I think people are reacclimating. But it really shifted the way that we just engage in society.
Yeah.
And even things like more and more people are now doing remote work. And so, where maybe they had social connections or they did things with their colleagues at work, now they don't have that. And how can
Right.
they get included
Where's their
or
happy hour?
welcomed into programs?
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that's really exciting for me is that I'm seeing more and more students who have an interest in talking about how they can develop programmings that would address some of that
Yeah.
in community settings. And so I think, to circle back to your original question, which is
Yeah.
asking for some advice on what maybe you could do more
Yeah.
of, I think that could be a great way to partner with universities or college students. Can they brainstorm for you
Ah, okay.
ideas about how might we address some of these issues, or how might we offer services for people who are experiencing loneliness or who are feeling stressed out, and maybe even marketing programs that speak to that, like, are
Huh.
you feeling stressed out, try
Yeah.
this program. It then becomes a different marketing approach where people connect with that. Like, maybe they wouldn't come to a certain recreation program, but when they make that connection, that it could potentially help with something that they're dealing with. Are you feeling disconnected or lonely? Meet new friends at this. So to know that those are things that people are dealing with, that might be a way to sell or market your program, and also contribute in a wonderful way to
Right.
those community members' health and well-being.
No, I love that. I love it because we always talk about telling our story, right? So even in the midst of telling the story of how to invite you in, I think that's
Yeah.
super important, and that's a good one. That is a good one for me. Okay, so how do we then say, even if it's anywhere from a concert in the park, come be surrounded by your community. Are you feeling lonely?
Yeah.
Come be with us. Like the invitation to be part of us, or I love that. And then the second part, hey, those students, we do have some talented students that are out there that are trying to, I don't want to say make a name for themselves, but really trying to have an impact as a student. But how do we challenge them to do that? And I think that's a fabulous way to say, hey, you tell us, because they're the generation right now, I believe, that have gone through the COVID and the effects of COVID and the social anxieties of it all and what that means. So how are we going to get you out? What is that thing that's going to help you be a part of this process as well? And I think that the challenge is on.
Yeah,
So,
and I think even, I loved your idea of, encouraging people to come out to a concert or something
yeah,
like that. And I would challenge you to even like take it a step further,
yeah,
because for some people to go to something like that alone is intimidating.
right.
So can you even think about interested in being part of one of our groups, or,
Yeah,
almost kind of creating like a meetup group, or,
for
or
that event.
thinking
So it's like,
how
so it's
you
not,
could
yeah.
do something where, you add in a social event before where people would connect and then go to the concert together or something.
See, that's why you do what you do, right? That's why you teach, and you're giving all that info. That's good stuff. So I like that. No, I think that really is helpful for folks, which is good. So if you were to, that's great advice as it's spinning in my brain as to what comes next, right? Because one of the things I try to do is like, how do we stay in front of, and I don't want to say trends, because I don't want this to be a trend that just comes and goes. I want it to be something that is sustainable, right? Um, I don't know what big, small, short piece of advice. I guess that's a whole lot of things, right? To say this is the one thing I think you guys should be doing in the community recreation. I know you gave me that, but is there like this? What do you want to, in a sense, leave me thinking about for days? If that makes
Oh
sense.
goodness, that's a tall order, Henry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No. So it is, and it's just kind of like, because I feel like I can sit here and talk to you for hours, but it is called Take Five, and I want to be
Yeah.
conscious of that as well. But is there? I mean, there might not be at the moment, but it was just something that popped in my head. It's like I want to, squeeze all the knowledge out of you right now and get just let it drip and let me think about it for a little while, which sounds weird, but that's me.
Yeah, I think, so as recreational therapists, we often talk about viewing people holistically.
Hmm.
And so by that we mean that health and well-being is composed of a variety of different elements, and that's your physical health and well-being, but also your cognitive, your social, your emotional, your spiritual well-being, and also your leisure well-being. And so I think, I always encourage people to make sure that they're viewing their programming and their approaches holistically,
Yeah.
to make sure that you're offering things that tap into all of those elements that contribute to our health and well-being. I think, with parks and recreation, oftentimes people immediately go to some of the physical and the social
Yeah.
elements, absolutely. But, you know, thinking through, are there ways to really challenge people cognitively? Are we doing any type of programming that is really focused on new learning? I mean, maybe that's your marketing
Yeah.
strategy. Looking to learn a new leisure activity, or where
Yeah.
you emphasize that aspect of it. Because it gets at people's leisure motivations. People engage in leisure and recreation for a variety of reasons. And one program could meet the motivation. Different people attend
Yeah.
that program because they're motivated for different things. One person is coming because they want the social connection.
Right.
One person's coming because, they want physical activity. Another person is coming because they want to learn a new skill or that more cognitive focus. And so, I think thinking through how you structure your programming to make sure that you're addressing people's motivations for being there, which simultaneously will also get at that very holistic view of health promotion and well-being.
I think I like that. It's we quite often tell ourselves, excuse me, to think about the big picture, and it's really the big picture in your city or all of that. But to challenge us even further and say, why don't you look at the big picture of the person that you're serving, and look at that they're more than just that one thing that you want them to do and achieve, but you need to recognize that you know perhaps we can be more to them, if we
Yeah.
just think about it a little more, right? If we just kind of dive in just a little more and go, hey, it's not just the run they're doing, right? Maybe the run, what does that provide for them mentally and, spiritually and all of those things? And how do we, when we say parks make life better, what is the prescription we're telling them to their mind, soul, body, all of it. So I think
Yeah.
that that's really kind of a good thing to kind of dive into, and it's a great perspective to have. And we may have it. Some of us may have it right off the bat. I think this is a couple of things, a great reminder to us, or even just a, maybe a shock to, hey, come on, there's more to us. Why are we only serving that one piece when we can do so much more?
Yeah, and I'm always a huge fan of program evaluation, and that can happen very informally. I mean, you may want to even just talk to your staff about talking to people that they encounter, hey, thanks for coming out. I'm just curious, what motivated you to come today?
Yeah.
And if you're hearing that program is fulfilling a certain need for everybody there, well, that's great. But then that might also cause you to critically reflect and say, are they coming because we're marketing it that way? And would we hit different people if we marketed it a different way? So just I'm a fan of just asking the informal questions. I think you learn a lot in terms of understanding the people that you're currently serving, but then taking a step back from that and critically reflecting of, okay, are we where we want to be with this, or do we want to try to broaden that scope a little bit?
I love that. I love that. And I would, when can I take a class? I just want to know that. So we gotta get you over here to California and kind of, teach us a few things too, which I appreciate. Hey, listen, I am just so grateful for the time that you spent with us. Yes, this is a quick hit. Like I said, I could spend another hour or two just hearing this. And I do want to, invite you on behalf of all of Californians, Parks and Rec people, come on down, come give us a session, come talk to us a little bit more. We'll try and see if we can get you out here at some point.
Yes, so I have to say, I'm so glad that you shared with people how we know each other, that, we are in fact high school classmates from California. So I am a past California resident. And then I also have been a presenter for CPRS in the past in their therapeutic recreation line that they have. So yeah, I think it's a great organization, and
I love that. I love that. That means you got to come back.
So thrilled that you asked me on. I just really think it's a wonderful organization, and I think your podcast and program here is phenomenal.
Thank you, and thank you for joining me. Hey, if someone wants to get a hold of you, where could they get a hold of you if you so desire?
Yeah, so best way to reach me is really via email. So it's just Rhonda.Nelson at HSC, which is Health Sciences, .utah.edu.
So go Utes, right?
Go Utes.
And the last question I have for you is this. Because it is the Take 5 Challenge, would you be willing to take up that challenge if we connected you with another professional to, again, it's just take 5 minutes a month, or what, it's mostly more, but just to kind of, connect and share and kind of sharpen someone. Would you be willing to do that?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Then we're going to go ahead and put that on. I want to thank you so much again, Rhonda, for coming on here. I'm called Dr. Rhonda because she earned it. Dr. Rhonda Show. But we'll be back, and I will be back with my final thoughts on this discussion. This will take 5. I got so many things swirling in my head. Again, I thank you so much, Rhonda, for hanging out and spending some time with me. And we will see
you, Henry. It's been a
hopefully
pleasure.
In California. So,
yeah.
or we can come to Utah. I'll come to Utah. So, all right. Thank you. Thank you. And I'll be right back. And welcome back, everybody. Just had a talk with Dr. Rhonda Nelson again. Yeah, she did. We went to high school together, reconnected recently, and I was able to kind of ask her about what she did and kind of learn about this side of our house, the rec therapy side, and the fact that she was teaching this at in Utah. I'm like, I need to talk to you. I want to kind of share some stuff, and boy, did I get some stuff from her, and I'm just excited to think about what we can do to think about the whole, right? We talk about big picture, we talk about our community as a whole, but are we looking at the individual as the whole individual? And as recreators, we need to really consider that. Not just a sports league, not just a lap swim, not just a camp, but what can we do to help provide them? Is it something that helps with mental health? Is it something that helps with connection? All of those things are coming in. So looking at how she talks about that, I think is really important. And then actually thinking about, is the virtual classes, is the virtual services still something we need to be thinking about and doing for our folks that, may have an easier time that way. It's just a matter of how we think. We need to take that big picture thinking and really make it and shift it to the whole individual holistically. And I loved hearing that from her and hearing what, and start spinning right and thinking about how that's going to work within my community. So maybe you can start thinking about that for yours as well. As always, I want to thank CPRS and the Push to Play Network for having us on here. Would love for you guys to reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram at the Take 5 Challenge handle. Send me a DM. I want to know who you want me to talk to. If you got someone I can connect with, hey, bring them on. Let's see what's going on. But we're here with CPRS through the Push to Play Network. I am Henry. This is the Take 5 Challenge, and I look forward to taking 5 with you or someone you know really soon. So we'll see you soon.